are in here on a Monday, number one form of Crimson Tide football. Hottest show on the streets, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. In my own words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing this to you live from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming to you the show on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, hit subscribe, smash the subscribe button right now if you haven't already done so. Getting all of the things that you crave here on your Crimson Tide. Also, run those likes up. Hit that like button. Give us a thumbs up, making this your show, your network, your platform, your channel to talk Bama football. Also, turn on all of those notifications. Hit that little bell so that way you can have all that you crave on the Crimson Tide. We also got you covered on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show. We got a good one here as we're going to get into the month of March in the next week or so, and spring football getting ready to get cranked up in the next few weeks. Everybody excited, pumped up about what Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide can have on display in the spring inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. But gonna have a really cool show, some good topics to get into, and we want you guys, the Bama fans, a part of the conversation. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358, number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. The daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat goal. Appreciate all of you for showing love here on the network. Got shot my man John Ivory in the production studio doing his thing. Well, we will not have my man Patrick P. moneyed out tonight. We're going to continue the conversation, John, of these positional breakdowns, these positional group series for the series for spring football. And like I mentioned, it's coming up very, very quickly here. Everybody in tune, everybody in sync, people wanting to know what positions are going to have you the most excited, the most ready, the most pumped up, the most excited to, or most entertained to watch in the spring. Could we see a freshman or two that could infiltrate the roster, infiltrate the depth chart in the lineup to get some playing time? Just so much action is going to be taking place here in spring ball. And for me, I think offensively, one position aside from starting quarterback that you got to be really tuned into and really turned up about if you're an Alabama fan is the running back room. Now, of course, you lose Brian Robinson Jr., Tuscaloosa native, to the NFL draft, and what a tremendous story B-Rob was. I mean, came in here, waited his time, put his head down, worked hard, grinded tirelessly. A guy that waited 5 years behind so many great running backs, earned his opportunity this past year to be the starter, and took full advantage of it. Over 1,300 yards rushing, 1,343, had 14 touchdowns. I think he had 4 or 5 100-yard rushing performances, had a 200-yard outing against Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl, a bowl performance, a bowl record in terms of Crimson Tide running back. So B-Rob did some good things, and there's going to be a team out there in the pros that will get a fine running back in the upcoming draft. However, Alabama's got 4 big, heavy hitters on the roster to start spring ball. It's going to have 6 running backs overall on the roster, but to start spring ball, it's going to have 4 heavy hitters on the depth chart here. In those 4, you look at Trey Sanders, Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, and Jahmyr Gibbs. All 4 can do something different. All 4 bring different dynamics, different aspects to the running back position and that room. And it's going to be fun to watch which of these 4 becomes the starter. Which one of these 4 becomes the number 1 running back on the roster, and then from there, who's the lightning to the number 1 guy's thunder, who's the change of pace back, all these different types of questions being thrown out here. So as we look first off at Trey Sanders, and we remember Trey came in 2019 as a 5-star from Florida by the way of IMG Academy. He came in talking Heisman Trophy. He came in saying that he's going to win the Heisman. He's going to be the big man on campus. He's going to be the superstar, the stud in the room. And it started off looking that way, especially in August camp. He was projected to take some carries from Najee Harris, from Brian Robinson. Unfortunately, a foot injury happened, and that set Trey Sanders back. He wasn't on the field, couldn't play, couldn't get into the action, and we had to wait off to the sideline, so that kind of halted us from seeing what Sanders could really do. And then the next year, the 2020 year, he starts off, building some momentum, goes to the Mississippi State game, has 12 carries for 80 yards, and we're all going, okay, Trey's going to do something. Trey's going to be fine. And then Trey goes back home to Florida, and the car accident happens, and it leaves him with serious injuries, including a hip issue, had to have surgery on that, and that sidelines. I mean, there's a setback right there, and we all got kind of, concerned, would Trey be bitten by the injury bug too much? Would Sanders be taken away from the Alabama program by the injury bug? All these concerns start to sort of pile up in our minds. And so, last year, finally stayed healthy all the way through the season, did some good things, put up some decent numbers here. But now he enters this spring the healthiest he's ever been. Can he stay that way? Can he remain that way? I think that's the biggest question for you as fans. Can Sanders remain healthy? Can he be healthy? Can you give us 2 strong, solid years healthy? Because if he can, what he can do from a pass-catching standpoint, run the ball between the tackles with power, speed in the open space, pass blocking ability, the fluidity of him switching the ball from one hand to the other, just a smooth, natural-looking back at that position, Sanders can be the starter. He can be the spring starter. He can be the day one starter in the regular season. It's can he put together another year 100% fully healthy? That's Trey Sanders. When you discuss Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams, they're both trying to bounce back and shake back from knee injuries that forced them to be sidelined for the 2021 season, or the remainder of the season for that matter. Jace McClellan got hurt against Ole Miss. Roydell Williams sustained an injury against New Mexico State. Both had to have surgeries done to repair these things. And starting off with Jace, before the injury, he was having a Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake type of year where he had 191 yards rushing and a couple of touchdowns. He had 10 catches for 97 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. He was doing a little bit of everything, and prior to his injury, he was that safety valve out the backfield for Bryce Young. Now, of course, Brian Robinson did a good job catching the ball at the backfield. He did. But for Jace McClellan, that skill set was more natural for him. He was natural. It was second nature for him to come out the backfield, whether it's in the curl to flat or running an actual route, catching the football, putting a move on a guy, and getting up and down the field. That was natural for Jace. And having him back to do that, along with running the ball between the tackles, getting space outside, turn the ball up as a running back in space, maybe putting him on special teams if Saban feels like doing that. Having a Jace McClellan back in that aspect going to be really good. And then for Roydell, the same thing. He's a bit more shifty than all the backs. He's a bit shiftier. He got that cutback ability, can see a hole, jump into another hole, reading the hole, pressing the hole a little bit faster than a lot of the other guys can do. A guy that's got pass blocking ability, can catch the ball at the backfield. Very strong guy, a pinball type of guy. And I feel like the running style of Roydell Williams fits the running style that Josh Jacobs had. Versus where McClellan is concerned, he's got the pass catching ability of Josh Jacobs. I think the running style of Jacobs fits more of Roydell, because Williams can bounce off of guys bounce off of him. Great contact balance, runs low to the ground, runs behind the pad level very well. So he's kind of got the running ability Roydell does, and Josh Jacobs carry during his time at Alabama, but both of these two look to shake back from knee injuries they suffered last year. And then here's Jahmyr Gibbs. And this is the dude that people have compared him to so many big-time running backs. I've heard the Alvin Kamara comparison being thrown out there for Jahmyr Gibbs. I've heard the Reggie Bush comparison being thrown out there to Jahmyr Gibbs. And when you watch his tape, I mean, it's right there. You want to talk about explosive. That was the one word Coach Saban kept saying earlier this month in the traditional recruiting period. Saban kept saying, Gibbs explosive hands, good hands, soft hands, can make plays, has accelerations, got speed, got everything we desire at the running back position. We're discussing 1,800 all-purpose yards and 7 touchdowns in discussing. He had 470 yards rushing and 475 or so yards receiving, and he had 740 yards rushing, So 746 yards rushing, 470 yards receiving, and we're looking at 589 kick return yards to go with those 7 touchdowns he had. So Gibbs can do a little bit of everything. And when you bring somebody from the transfer portal, Coach Saban is not bringing those guys in to sit those guys. He brings those guys in to play those guys and utilize those guys and figure out, okay, where do you fit in relation to our offense? We know you're good, you got experience, you're dynamic, but where would you fit? Where are we going to see you fitting at the best in relation to this offense? So, I mean, when you look at these 4 running backs, I can see a scenario where it's Trey Sanders starting and it's Jace McClellan as the second guy with Gibbs to change of pace. I can see a situation where maybe it's Trey Sanders and Gibbs as the 1-2 with McClellan the change of pace with Roydale. I mean, there's a number of different combinations you can go to with this. All we know as fans and myself here in the media correspondent area is that this is a position where outside of starting quarterback, you are really excited because you know what you have. You know what you have in Bryce Young because you've seen him. You know what you have in Trey Sanders. You know what you have in Jace McClellan. You know what you have in Roydale Williams. And Jahmyr Gibbs brings an interesting piece from the ACC that can really be dynamic, that can really be fun to watch there on the field. So spring football inching closer and closer. Tuesday of next week or the week after brings in the month of March, so I'm just pumped up to watch spring ball in action. We go to a break right here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we get to your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. We get to a dialogue with you, the Bama fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
As we're back into the action here, folks, from the break, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, In My Own Words, on a Monday. Gotta break this news here to everybody in the chat. Yours truly, not engaged, dating and happily dating, but not engaged. So breaking the news to everybody in the chat, not engaged as of yet. but happily dating, and thank the Lord for that. Appreciating that. But we go to the phone line. Not to the phone lines. We go to some super chats right here. We got the man Jimmy Clay, Jimmy the Bad Man Clay, with that $50 donation in the super chats. Appreciate the man Jimmy Clay. We got my man Bill, Big Bill from New York, with that $5 donation in the super chats. Appreciate my man Bill. And then we got Jamie Wilhelm, baby, with that $4.99 in the super chats from Jamie. And then Waylon El Presidente Waylon with that $4.99 in the super chats. Appreciate the love coming from all of you. Daily super chat go, $75. The love that you guys show, always very much so appreciated. Now, we go to the phone lines to take your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Roll Tide Roll. It's your boy Coach Smoot, Phoenix City, Alabama. What's going on, Steven?
Doing good, my man. How you feeling, Senator?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Hey, Steven, don't be out here telling no stories now. You know that girl got you wrapped around her finger now, don't? I be seeing all the little posts on Facebook and stuff.
Hey, I'll say this, my man. Happily dating, not engaged yet, though.
But, yeah, man, I'm just glad to see you happy, man. And I'm glad to see all the people in the chat tonight, man. Run them likes up. Let's get this thing popping. But, Steven, the running back room, I think this is the most unsure we've been about a running back room in some years. I mean, last year we knew Robinson, B-Rob was going to come in and hold it down. We was just excited about Jace. And Roydell, you know, we got to see their flashes their freshman year. So I'm excited. My prediction is I think Jason's probably going to be 1A and Gibbs is going to be 1B. I don't know how to feel about Trey right now. If Trey is 100%, I think he could take the number one spot. Honestly, Trey's probably going to be our strongest back power-wise, but schematic-wise, Jace and Gibbs are our best two options. They give you the speed, they give you the power, and they give you the consistent hands. I was watching Gibbs highlights from Georgia Tech, and my guy got some hands, and he has that top-end speed that Trey doesn't have. We saw last year Trey, you know, he's lost his step since all the injuries and everything. He probably wasn't 100%. So just based off what we have to go with film-wise and, you know, just what's been put on the field the past year and a half, you got to go with Jace and my boy Gibbs. Now, Roydell, I see Roydell continuing to work hard because I think Roydell can be the next B-Rock for us. The guy that sticks around, graduates there, you know, works hard, doesn't complain, just is an all-out team guy, and is a great leader by example in the locker room. And that could be good for guys like Emmanuel Henderson and the Miller kid. Because I honestly, Steven, and I don't think people are really paying attention to the quality of recruits we brought in this season, but I think Emmanuel Henderson, one injury in their top three between Jace, Gibbs, Trey, or Roydell, one injury, I think Henderson can be like Najee Harris was his freshman year. You know, he come in and show them flashes, give you a sneak peek, and then I believe that kid is ready. Mentally, that kid, just go watch some of the interviews, some of the stuff that he says. He's a team first guy. He buys into the vision, to the concept. You can tell mentally he's already there. And Miller, he's just a young kid ready to play ball. You can tell he loves football. So I like what we have in the running back room, Steven. But like I said, Jason McClellan probably going to be 1A. I feel like Gibbs is going to end up being the top back for us if he stays healthy. But Jace definitely 1A. And y'all got to remember, Jace hasn't been able to be let loose yet. But anytime that kid touches the ball, I don't remember many negative plays from Jace. I don't remember many. All of the plays, all the opportunities he gets, he does something big with them. Whether it's pass blocking or catching out the backfield or hitting a hole hard, you know. And if the offensive line is anything if we can get the offensive line at a B plus, A minus range starting the season off, I think we could have a nice deep rotation in the running back room and keep all our guys healthy. So, like I said, Steven, you hit it right on the head, though. I really think these guys have some good competition, and it's going to be exciting to see who comes out. But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Once again, Steven, thanks for taking my call. You guys keep running it up, man. John, all you guys up there. P, all y'all guys, man. I love y'all. Benny, love you guys. Roll Tide. I'm out, man.
Appreciate Senator there for that call. I like Emmanuel Henderson. That guy's a talented young man as a freshman. Our own Justin Smith did a lot of scouting him in terms of his games. But that was a good point that Senator made. When you look at the scheme Alabama's running now, more of a passing scheme and throwing the ball to running back. So we could see a situation where Gibbs is A and Gibbs is 1 and McClellan is 1A. But we'll see. I would like to see Trey Sanders give us another year healthy. Can he do it? That's the big thing. We take a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Well, Stephen, as the old song used to go, it's just another Manic Monday. I tell you what, I hope everybody's doing all right in the Blue Ridge gang. Everybody in the chat, we're looking good tonight. I see everybody. Hello to everyone. Going by so fast, I can't see all y'all, but I do want to say this before I forget it. Excuse me, there are little allergies I'm dealing with here. The National Championship Trophy will be down at the Pawn Shop in Marietta, Georgia, tomorrow from 9 to 12. So that's the last chance you'll get, Georgia fans, to take your picture with it. Then they're going to have to sell it so they can pay Kirby's salary. But anyway, Stephen, I hope you're doing great. I love everybody in the Blue Ridge gang. TDA loves all y'all. We need every one of y'all in here to make this show what it is. Y'all are great. Stephen, give me some news on this New Orleans Saints wanting to come after our strength coaches here. I tell you, this has got me worried here. What's going on here, Stephen? Shed some light on this.
Well, right now, Wayne, the Saints are showing interest in Blue and Ray, but because they're showing interest does not necessarily mean those two will take the job. I feel like the reason why the sports science department was created on campus was for both of these two. Saban loves both of them. Jeff Allen, I've never seen this man smile more than to have both of these two. Now, I get it, Bama had some injuries last year. 2 of those you can't put on Blue and Ray because Mechie and Jamison Williams got hurt on turf, and turf is horrible. Turf don't let you bend, it don't let you cut, it don't let you move. So you can't put those 2 on Blue and Ray. Sometimes injuries are part of the game. We can't stand them. We hate them. As fans, we absolutely hate them. But I think the Saints are showing interest, but I still think Blue and Ray remain in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I sure hope so. You got the inside scoop, so I'm going to stay with you on this and let you get the latest hot off the press here. You and Justin keep me informed on this because it's worrying me. But anyway, I want to mention one more thing. Matt Luke. Georgia lost their great offensive line coach, Matt Luke. Now what they going to do? Huh? They going to try to come to Alabama? Maybe Matt Luke will come to Alabama. Well, we can laugh again. Anyway, I love all y'all. I got to get out of here. Y'all enjoy your Monday. Be safe. Let's be back on Wednesday. God love every one of y'all. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate weighing in there for that call. On a Monday, we grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York. What's up, man?
Doing good, man. How you feeling, Bill?
Well, good. I got a quick story to tell you. I think it might amuse you a little bit. Then I want to get to the running backs. Last week, I had a doctor's appointment, and to get home, I had to go through a rather rich neighborhood. So I'm driving down, and there's a guy crossing the street, and he's behind my car. Now, I have a license plate holder that says, Alabama Crimson Tide, right? And this guy, he don't belong there. He's wearing, he's a short guy with long, straight, stringy hair. He's got a long coat on. Looks like he got from the Salvation Army. So he's behind my car. I see him in my mirror, and he comes around, and he's staring at me in the middle of a busy street. So I figured, all right, I rolled down my window and said, hey, you good? He says, am I good? And he's screaming, Roll Tide. He's screaming, and he's screaming loud and mixing in obscenities, right? So I figured, let me have some fun with this guy. I can handle psychotics. I've been dealing with psychotics for decades, So I said, yeah, man, Roll Tide. Stephen, I shouldn't have, because now he's jumping around in the middle of the street, screaming and cursing, and the cars are starting to come. I said, sir, do me a favor, just get on the sidewalk, and we'll talk about it. He's like, okay. And but he did. He got on the sidewalk still cursing. You know what I mean? My point is this. When you're an Alabama fan, I don't care where you are, you're something special. You're different than other fans. We're just not the same, you know. So now, about the running back thing, look, you know, I can't speak about the man from Georgia Tech. I haven't seen enough of him. I watch the SEC. But I'm thinking between Jace and Trey, I'm looking at whichever one, like, you know, in practice and camp, is faster. Because love B-Rob, not bad-mouthing the guy, but Najee was a step faster. And that's a big step, though. That's a big step. I want speed in the backfield. But what B-Rob could really do was block. And he could block since he was like the first walked on the field for us. So that's my thing. Whichever one, that'll be decided in camp. But those would be my two favorites. And that's all I got to say. The only other thing I got to say to you is I like the way you're dealing with the engagement rumors and all of that. Hey, listen, things will take their course. You don't want to, you know what I mean? You don't want to jump the gun and, you know, let it work itself out. I wish you the best of luck. I was going to send you a card, man. I was happy when I heard the good news. All right? So, and thanks for taking my call. Your show's the best. Your staff is the best. You're going places, and roll tide.
Appreciate Bill from New York there for that call. That call and that great chuckle there we got. And when I look at the running backs, though, I understand the schematic of the game has changed where Nick Saban's going from more so power to you're throwing the ball more to the running backs. You want more speed. You want a faster first step. Najee Harris kind of showed us something a lot different when he first came onto the scene in 2017 to the end of his collegiate career in 2020. And B-Rob was good. And like I said, B-Rob is going to be a fine running back in the NFL. But with the schematic we have now, I want to see Trey Sanders healthy because I want to see what he can do a second year fully healthy. But I wouldn't be against the idea of having Jahmyr Gibbs as running back one and then Jace McClellan behind him, and then you work in Roydale and Trey. The big thing here is going to be this offensive line, right? Eric Wolford in from Kentucky. Can he take this offensive line and have it be a Joe Moore Award type group? That's the big question. Can he take McLaughlin and Latham and Cohan and possibly Ekiyor and Damian George and just get the best five? Can he get the best five guys on the field to play angry, nasty, physical football, open those holes, create those opportunities for those backs, and most importantly, protect Bryce Young? The running back room with the offensive line and creating for those running backs could be the big deal there. Gotta shout out my man Jimmy Clay again, baby, with the $26 donation in the Super Chat, showing love here on the show. We grab a call. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Kyron from Albuquerque. That's Kyran. How you doing?
Doing great, Kyron, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I say you must have read my mind because I called to kind of highlight one thing that I don't think is talked about enough. I think that thing is injuries. It seems like almost every year there's some sort of a catastrophic injury to someone that is a key member to the team. Obviously, this year we lost Mechie and JMO, but I kind of want to. What are your thoughts as far as why are guys getting injured the way they are? And it seems like a lot of them are non-contact. You know, you think about Kamar Wheaton a few years ago when we lost Dylan Moses. It just seems like there's something going on. I don't know if it's just the strength and conditioning to where, you know, guys are making a cut and then they're tearing something in their knee. To me, I think that's something that needs to be kind of addressed more, and hopefully going forward we don't see that anymore. It just seems like it's happening too often for it to be ignored. As far as the running backs, I mean, I believe whoever they put out there, I mean, I think they're going to do great. However, I do believe, and I think it's almost a guarantee that we will lose at least one after spring ball, after A-Day. I do believe one will hit the transfer portal. As far as who that one will be, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we will lose at least one by the time fall comes around.
Now going back to the first thought there, I appreciate Kyron there for that call on the injuries. Playing on turf instead of grass, that causes a lot of that because, once again, turf, it doesn't give way, it doesn't bend, it doesn't give, movement there. So when you're not able to cut the way you like to, especially for receivers that want to create that separation like a Jamison Williams or a John Mechie, and the turf does not allow you the free will to cut, and you bend and it goes awkwardly, that's the turf. Now, in terms of non-contact things, that would be something for Jeff Allen, David Ballou, and Dr. Matt Ray to all three look at because they have this cutting-edge technology that can track the player's performance, how they're performing, if they're not up to speed, if they are up to speed, what do we need to do to get the players at max optimum peak performance. So that'll be something that I know it's keeping Jeff Allen up at night because he doesn't like injuries. It keeps David Ballou, it keeps Dr. Matt Ray up at night because none of those guys like seeing players get hurt. We get it, injuries are a part of the game, but when you have, like you mentioned, Kyron, huge marquee players in the program that you don't want to see get hurt, I'm pretty sure all three of those guys, Allen, Ballou, and Ray, are working tirelessly on how do we prevent this from happening because it has happened more than what U.S. fans would like to see it happen. But we continue with this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Stephen. This is Jim Gallagher out of Dallas. How you doing?
Doing great, Jim, and yourself?
Well, doing a whole lot better today. About a week ago, my left ear got all stopped up. I couldn't hear hardly anything. And so I had to take it to the doctor, and he flushed out my ear. They called it irrigation. And now I can hear like I did about 50 years ago. So I've been needing to do that for a long time. You wouldn't believe all the stuff they got out of that ear. But anyhow, get to the subject you're talking about, running backs. Before we talk about that, I think we got another problem to take care of, and that would be to develop our offensive line so they can block for whoever the number one back is. I don't know how far along we are in that area. I think we'll sort it out in the spring game and in the early practices. But we certainly need to improve there before any of these running backs are going to have a chance. From what I see of the kids that we got, I think that unless Saban felt like he needed him, he wouldn't have brought this Gibbs kid in. If he felt comfortable with what he had, he wouldn't have gone to the portal to get Gibbs. So I think if we stay a pass-first team, like we have been the last few years, I think you're going to see Gibbs for your number one back. And then everyday back will probably be Jace. If he's not hurt and hadn't lost a step or two of speed, that would be my feelings on it. I don't see any power backs in our stable. I don't see any real breakaway threats. I don't see anybody in that stable that's going to go to the NFL and make a statement like Najee Harris or some of the other backs that we've had. We just don't have that type of back. So we're going to have to rely again a whole lot on Bryce and a whole lot on the development of our wide receivers. I think that's where the emphasis is going to have to be. Another topic in your program tonight, you're talking about Saban getting sick of retirement questions. Well, the people that are wanting to know of the people that he's beaten every year, they want him to retire tomorrow if possible because he beats them every year. So that's not something unusual in the way of a question. But I also see that he's saying good things about Dallas Turner, and this kid's got a lot of potential. He certainly has. He's looked really good. The only thing about his development that I'm not proud of is that he forced Drew Sanders into the portal, and we lost a good one on Drew Sanders. Believe me, the kid has got a lot of talent. But anyway, I'll wrap it up there, Stephen, and once again, I want to tell you what a good job you're doing, and I appreciate all the comments that I'm hearing on tonight's show.
Absolutely. Appreciate Jim for calling in right there. And absolutely, the offensive line's a big deal. That has to get situated first before we can talk running backs or we can even talk receivers. That offensive line has to be in order. Now, I like Seth McLaughlin at center. Will he remain at that spot? We will check it out this spring. Javion Cohen at left guard. There's a lot of promise there. I like him to be right there. The other three spots, when you look at right guard, right tackle, and left tackle, those will be the questions for me. Right guard, Emil Ekiyor has experience, but there are times where I wonder, could anybody else do a bit more consistency positive-wise at that spot? I would like to see some competition at right guard. And, of course, both of your tackle spots are open with Evan Neal gone and Chris Owens gone. So that's going to be fun to watch right there. So it all comes down to, Coach Wolford. You had Doug Marrone in here coming over from the NFL. It just didn't work. Now you bring over Wolford, more college football oriented, coming from Will Muschamp, footprint in the SEC, really good recruiter, took Kentucky's offensive line, made it a Joe Moore Award finalist. He can looking to do the same thing with this group here. So it's going to all start there with an offensive line. But a core topic here, and that one goes to those New Orleans Saints, looking at David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray. And it's just crazy how, remember in 2020 when, the COVID vaccine the COVID virus first hit, prior to it first hitting, we got the news that, Alabama had parted ways from Scott Cochran and brought in the geniuses known as Dr. Ray and David Ballou from Indiana, and people are like jumping out of windows and happy and excited about, man, we got Ray and Ballou from Indiana. Oh my gosh, these two are gonna be the real deal. Whoa, technology, cutting edge. And they come in here and they're doing all of these specific and fine-tune and catering different individual workouts to different individual players. It was no longer a cookie-cutter ordeal, one-size-fits-all type of thing, and we were eating it all up. In 2020, nobody had a real soft tissue injury. I mean, yes, Dickerson got hurt, but he was able to come back in the national championship and play and get a snap in against Ohio State and carry Nick Saban off the field. And, Jalen Waddle suffered a freak injury, but he was able to come back and play a little bit in the national championship game. So essentially, it wasn't really any bad injuries, and we were like, yay, injuries over, yay, Blue and Ray are here. And then, of course, this past season, it was a little bit rough. Some injuries happened, but I think with these two and Jeff Allen, they're going to figure this out. With Nick Saban as the boss, those three are going to figure this out. I know the Saints have shown interest, but when you build an entire strength and sports science program department for these two, Alabama's invested a lot in these two. And I think they're going to remain here with the program. And I think these two with Jeff Allen as the head athletic trainer are going to figure this thing out in terms of cutting down these injuries. But we're going to go to a break right here on the show, folks. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we get into a little conversation on Dallas Turner and Coach Saban lauding praise on the young outside linebacker. And what would be the expectations for him as a rising sophomore? We'll talk Dallas Turner after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We are back, folks, rocking and rolling in here from the break. Number one form for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on today. And we now get into one Dallas Turner, rising sophomore, outside linebacker, South Florida native. And while Coach Saban last month in Montgomery, during the Alabama Football Coaches Association Conference Clinic, he speaking in a room full of coaches, touching on a number of different topics, though he called out, ripped, three players and not being prepared for the moment and not taking moments seriously and not taking practice reps seriously and not being ready for when the big games came and not taking full advantage of those situations. He also came back to laud praises upon one particular individual that did take things seriously, that did have the right work habits, the right practice habits, and performed well and was ready for the moment when it came. And that player is none other than Dallas Turner. And Coach Saban talked about it. He said, look, Dallas Turner started off as the third-string outside linebacker prior to the start of last season. He was the third-string strong side backer behind Drew Sanders and Christopher Allen, who was the starter, despite Dallas Turner coming in as a five-star recruit. And, of course, I remember in fall camp, early on in fall camp, when they were letting us back on the field as the media and the reporters prior to shutting everything down again, there was one drill, I think it was the W drill, that was happening on the field for outside backers. And Dallas Turner went through the drill, and Sal Sinceri was like, what? Who was that? 15? Dallas Turner? Violet. Like that. Do that again. Like, he was really impressed with the technique and the violence Dallas Turner showed in that particular pass rush drill. And after watching that, in my mind, I'm going, okay, holy smokes then. If Turner can continue to grow, this guy may be something to deal with. I mean, I like Will Anderson, I like Chris Allen, I like Chris Braswell, I like Drew Sanders, but if this Dallas Turner kid continues to grow, he may be something to really, truly deal with. And the whole time, he worked under Will Anderson, trained under Will Anderson. But before I get to that dynamic between Turner and Anderson here, so game one of the season, Chris Allen gets hurts his foot there against Miami, misses the rest of the season, and then Drew Sanders becomes the guy. Drew Sanders starts off playing well, and then he comes up on Ole Miss, hurts his hand, breaks his hand, fractures his hand in that matchup, and he ends up having to miss a few weeks. But Dallas Turner prepared himself for the moment. And how he prepared himself was he spent a lot of time with Will Anderson. He trained with Anderson. He practiced with Anderson. He worked next to Anderson. He gleaned information from Will. It was, Will, how do you do this? How do you set this technique? How do you set up this pass rush move? What comes after this pass rush move? What's the combination of this? Will, how do you do all of this? And he sat there and like a sponge absorbed everything, not just from the coaches, but from one of the biggest, if not the biggest leader on the team when you discuss Anderson as a sophomore at the time. And I remember last year, I spoke to Will about this, about Dallas, and I asked him, I said, Will, before games, What do you tell Dallas? Like, what's your advice to Dallas? Like, what's that conversation like? He's like, I don't have to tell Dallas anything. He knows what to do. He just goes out there and plays. It's what he's been doing his whole life. You've been playing football your whole life. I don't have to tell Turner anything. He goes out there and just flats out plays football. And got his first start against Texas A&M, did well in that matchup, but just took off from there and ended the season with 30 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, and 1 fumble recovery. And for a lot, and for many people, that type of production, people thought Christopher Allen was going to get that. Maybe more sacks, maybe more tackles for loss, but a lot of people thought that production that Dallas Turner got as a freshman, you're going to see that a whole season for a second time with Chris Allen. At least people thought it would probably be that way for Drew Sanders, but it became that way for Turner, and he ended up a freshman All-American, a freshman All-SEC honoree, and also 5.5 of his 8.5 sacks. Think about this. 5.5 of Dallas Turner's 8.5 sacks came in Alabama's last 4 games of the season. Auburn, Georgia SEC Championship, Cincinnati Cotton Bowl, Bulldogs again for the national title. What does that tell you? When the stage was at its brightest, Dallas Turner turned the notch up even more. When the stage was at its biggest, it did not overwhelm Dallas. When the stage, when the lights were at their brightest in there, Dallas, chin strap ready, cleats tied up, ready to play ball and take somebody's head off their body. And that's exactly what he did. And Coach Saban proud of it. Coach Saban impressed by it. Coach Saban lauded praise on somebody that did not complain for, I'm not getting playing time here. I'm not seeing action here. No, put his head down, went to work, and when the moment came, it was not too big for Dallas Turner to accomplish and handle him. This is why going into spring ball, he is going to be the starter at that strong side backer position opposite Will Anderson. The two combined for 26 of Alabama's 52 sacks. But here's a thought. What's the expectation for Turner going into his sophomore year? Because there have been a lot of freshmen, there have been a lot of players that have had a huge freshman season, and then they make a big jump as a sophomore. Case in point, Will Anderson did that. 7 sacks as a freshman, made the big jump as a sophomore, 17.5 sacks. You look at Minkah Fitzpatrick, 2015, DB, had a good freshman year, had 2 picks, both returned for touchdowns. Sophomore year, 6 picks. Like, Minkah took a big jump up there. There have been other guys that have had this experience as well. Offensively, we've seen players have, a good sophomore year, a build-up freshman year, and in the sophomore year, they take that huge jump forward. They escalate that thing up. So for Dallas, what will be the expectation for him? Because Anderson's going to attract a lot of attention. Potentially, Will Anderson could be the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 draft. Potentially, Will Anderson maybe can win the Heisman Trophy on defense. Who knows? Will Anderson potentially can get all of the individual accolades that he did not receive a season ago. He will get a lot of the attention. And then Henry To'o being back will have a lot of attention. This puts Dallas Turner in a situation where he can wreak havoc, he can eat, he can have a dynamite sophomore year. But it's going to be fun to watch. After what he did as a freshman, owning the moment, taking advantage of the moment, not letting it overwhelm him. Why? Because he was prepared. Freshman All-SEC, freshman All-American. Looking forward to seeing what this sophomore year, what year 2 brings for the young man from South Florida. We'll take a break here, folks, on the show and touch that dial. When we get back, we'll return to the phone lines to grab your calls, your thoughts, get a conversation with you, the fans, right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jameer.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back into the action, folks, from the break. Number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Go ahead and run those likes up. We need 100 likes in the building, 100 likes in the building. Hit that thumbs up. Run those likes up. Give us that thumbs up. Make the Short Network your channel, your platform, your space to talk Crimson Tide football right here on Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Shout out to my man Devin Moldlin. Devin Moldlin with that $10 donation, the super chats. We appreciate Devin showing love here on the show. Devin Molden. So Devin Molden with that $10 donation, the super chats. Appreciate the love there coming from him. We go to the phone lines now because we're grabbing your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. The number to call in. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steven? It's your boy Elijah calling from Jersey. How you feeling tonight?
Elijah, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. Just listening to your show, sitting up here at the job, just having time pass by and, listening to everything you're saying. And I think pure talent-wise, this kid Gibbs, it looks like he, has another level to his game. He looked like he might be the fastest out the backs. Looked like he has good hands, and he's a pretty good running back. I think the key with him, if he starts, I think the main hurdle is, can he block? We all know he's explosive. We all know, like you say, he can catch out the backfield. He has all the intangibles you need as far as being an explosive player. But how well does he block? You can't see the field if you can't block, because Bryce is going to get his throws a game. If you can't block for him, they ain't gonna have you out there. You're gonna be more of a liability if you can't pick up them blitzes. And I think that's his main hurdle. If he comes in and he could do a good job at blocking, I feel that the job is his. As far as Dallas Turner, I had always liked Dallas Turner before Drew Sanders. To me, Dallas Turner was the better pass rusher, and that's what that Alabama defense needed. They needed a guy who could rush the passer. I'm not saying that the man was the best run stopper, but he's a 245-pound kid. The kid can stop the run. And Drew Sanders, he was a good outside linebacker, but the one thing that to me that set him apart was that he couldn't put that hand in the ground and rush the passer off the edge. And that's why I gave the nod to Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner is going to have a huge sophomore year because no matter how you look at it, how you slice it, Will Anderson is going to draw most of the attention. Will Anderson is going to require double teams. He's going to require to be chip blocked. And that's going to leave Dallas Turner a lot of one-on-ones on the back end. Dallas Turner is going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. and he's going to know the playbook even more. His game is going to get more developed and polished. So I think in his second season, Dallas Turner is going to turn up. But I also like what was it last week? You had a conversation, Steve, and it was more so about like Nick Saban when he made those comments about the three receivers that really didn't step up and seize the moment in the national championship game. And I know a lot of people, they might disagree with me, but I think that was unfair for him to say. I don't, practice, of course, you need to do well in practice. But in order to perform on those big stages like that, Steve, you got to have game reps. It's important. You could do all you want in practice, but you need that game rep. You need that experience versus other competition, other guys that's really, really putting their best foot forward. And Dallas Turner had a lot of game reps. He played a good amount of snaps even before he was the starter. Him and Drew Sanders switched off. Even though Drew Sanders was a starter, he played in there. I just feel it was unfair for Saban to come out and say they didn't take advantage. If these kids would have had those game reps, I think we could have seen a different version of each one of those players at receiver. I really didn't like when he says they didn't take it serious. Okay, we talking about 19-year-old kids. They probably ain't thinking, what, they probably think we ain't going to play too much, So how hard are we going to practice and practice? But if you give these kids something to look forward to, you know what I'm saying? If you give these kids something to look forward to during the season, you gather their attention. And I feel that just keeping them kids stuck on the sideline like the whole year, like everybody's asking about a Jai Hall. A lot of Trayshawn Holden, everybody was asking about him. Javon Baker. These guys are marquee talents. But if you keep them on the sideline, they don't get that game time experience. How do you think they're going to respond in a national championship game when all the major lights is on them? I just feel that wasn't cool for him to say that, they didn't step up to the table. Hey, you gotta spoon feed them first. Let them get their feet wet. You just can't throw them out there on the biggest stage, man. And to me, that wasn't cool. I disagree with what Saban said with that. But like I said, I'm just a fan. He the coach. But that to me, that kind of irked me a little bit because you could have got these guys better prepared throughout the year. You could have mixed them in the rotation. They didn't have to be starters, but when some of those games was, not even close, but we up by 2-3 touchdowns, he'll throw these guys in, let them get their feet wet, and he didn't do that. So I feel it's on the coaches that some of these guys wasn't prepared. They didn't have no game time experience. But that's all I got for you now, Steve, man. I appreciate you taking my call, man. And like always, God bless.
Appreciate it, Elijah, right there, my man from Jersey with that call. Good thoughts there. Good, intriguing thoughts there from him. And of course, we've got some thoughts in the chat line here. I know one in particular was talking about the confidence that you have in the offensive line for the upcoming season. I have confidence in Alabama's offensive line for a couple of reasons. Number one, I really like the hire of Eric Wolford. I think this was a big hire by Coach Saban. And I think he's going to have the offensive line in pocket. I think he's going to do a good job with that. Now, the second reason why I have confidence is the return of Seth McLaughlin at center. Yes, he may need to gain about 10 pounds, get him up at 300 pounds, but Seth McLaughlin at center. And Javion Cohen at left guard. I like those two. So that gives me some confidence. And then, the third reason why I have confidence is having a lot of young players on your offensive line opens up the door for that competition. And we can now really see who's the best five, right? Because last year you had a sixth-year senior and Chris Owens. You tried to stick Kendall Randolph in there somewhere, but now, yet when you have a lot of young guys, now you have a chance to really kind of see the scope of who's the best five we can put on this field to ensure ourselves that we can get dominant, winning football at the point of attack. So I got some confidence in the offensive line. They'll be able to get this together, starting this thing off here in spring ball. But we go to another quick topic here, and this one continues Alabama in the NFL. 1-1 Tua Tagovailoa. Tua is back to work. Back to work with his group performance at the Perform training facility down there in South Florida. Tua getting himself ready for his third season, second as the full-time starting quarterback with Mike McDaniel as his head coach. And McDaniel has assembled an arsenal of coaches to help him out. So year 3, they're trying to make Tua a star. And I understand for a lot of you in the chat, it's Tua has to put the haters to bed. He's got to put the critics to bed. He's got to put the naysayers to bed. Believe you me, Tagovailoa is hearing all of that, and he knows all of that. But the good news is, at least he's got a staff that's all in on him. The staff has pushed all the poker chips into the table on him. It didn't feel like he had that under Brian Flores. At least Mike McDaniel is presenting him, Tua, we're putting all the poker chips on you. We got the coaching staff here. When it comes down to the draft, we're going to draft around you. So year 3 could be Tua's big moment. We'll see how it starts up here in the offseason. But we go to our final break here, folks, on Touch That Dial, because when we return, Coach Saban continuing getting the questions about retirement, and he's kind of getting aggravated by it. So we'll touch on Nick Saban and why he continues to state that coaching and the challenges and beating all the obstacles make him love his job. We'll discuss it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back in from the break on a Monday. Number 1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Continue to run those likes up. Hit that like button on the show. Make this your show, your network, your platform, channel, and space to talk Alabama football. Appreciate you guys for checking us out here on today. And before we get into final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So check this out. You are Crimson Tide fans. You are all about rocking Bama gear, rocking the Crimson Tide gear. Whether it's the shirts, whether it's the hoodies, whether it's the pants, whether it's the jewelry, like you are about Crimson Tide. But also, you are about the brand, the platform that presents you all of the information on your Crimson Tide, that being us here at TDA. So we want you to check out TDAwear.com. Be a part of the family and the culture. Getting the shirts, getting the hoodies, getting the leggings, getting the pants, getting all things Touchdown Alabama Magazine so that you can continue supporting your Crimson Tide. TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Link in the description. Check us out there. Show that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama magazine. As we look into now, head coach Nick Saban, one of the many topics that he discussed at the Alabama Football Coaches Association conference in a clinic speaking with different coaches, he discussed the question, the thought of, or he attacked the thought of retirement. And it just feels like for the last 5 to 7 years or so, John, it could be more than that. The last 5 to 7 years, it just feels like the question of Nick Saban retiring, it comes up, whether it's national media, whether it's local media, whether it's rival fans, whether it's some members of the Alabama fan base. It's at what point will Nick Saban retire? At what point will he hang it up? Like, how long can he continue to do this at the highest level and look young doing it at the highest level in terms of not just winning championships, but molding molding boys into men, molding people into being successful members of society, molding people to be great characters, just all of that along with winning the championships. Like, how long is Coach Saban going to be able to do this here at the highest level? And you know the retirement question irks him because he always responds with, I've always been part of a team. You know, I've never had a moment where I've never been a part of a team, whether it was Little League, whether it was Pop Warner, whether it was middle school, high school, college, NFL. I've always been a part of a team, and it scares me when I to think about no longer being a part of a team. These are some of the things that Coach Saban says. So he's always answered like that, but during the coaches conference last month, he added something more to that. He said that you want me to walk into the empty abyss. That's what he refers to as retirement, the empty abyss. He's like, retire from what? It's the challenges that I get from coaching that keeps me going, whether it's the transfer portal and people feel like I can't win because of the transfer portal. That challenge keeps me going. Whether it's name, image, likeness, and people feel like I can't win or I can't get the best recruiting class because of name, image, likeness. That keeps me going. Whether it's whether it's Coach Saban losing members off his coaching staff every year. People feel like, okay, this is the coach Nick Saban lost that's going to really do it in for him. It's going to really burn him. It's going to really hurt him. That's the challenge that Coach Saban loves because it keeps him going. It keeps him adjusting, adapting, evolving. And that's what the great ones do to remain at the top of the game. They adapt, they adjust, they evolve, they welcome change, they welcome challenge. Is it always good? No, of course not. But they welcome change and they welcome challenge. Why? Because that change and that challenge helps sharpen that iron to keep them at the top of the mountain, at the top of the game. And so here comes Coach Saban coming off a year where he came close to winning that 8th national championship overall and 7th at Alabama. Unfortunately, injuries happened, and it was just time for Kirby Smart to get his first at Georgia. But he enters spring ball more energetic, more rejuvenated, more locked in than ever before to get back to the stage to win it all. Because last year's group, with it being a young group, it was, if that group wins, wow. You're led by 2 sophomores, Bryce Young, Will Anderson. Not a lot of seniors, not a lot of veteran leadership. So if the 2021 group wins the national championship, that's pretty cool. But for the 2022 group, it's you got to win. The 2022 group, with the experience coming back, with the leadership coming back on both sides of the football, you got to win. You have to win. You must win. It's championship or bust coming from a lot of you as fans. And that's another challenge that Coach Saban likes. That's why he doesn't want to retire. He loves being challenged. He loves being pushed. He loves the grind. He loves the friction. He loves the competition. Some folks just love it. Nick Saban just loves it. He will turn 71 years old this October. And he doesn't look old. He's not an old 70. He's a young, spry, hungry, focused, goal-oriented, attentive 70-year-old. And when you got a Coach Saban that is uninterested in retirement and the way he spoke on it, I mean, it just looks like he's got 5 or 10 more years left. People have asked me the question, Stephen, when do you think Nick Saban's going to retire? I've quit answering the question because you can't put a numerical date on that. I mean, one minute you look at Coach Saban and you go, maybe he may have 3 or 4 years left, and then you look at the next time, you're like, man, that guy got 10 to 15 years left. You can't put a number on it because he keeps himself motivated. He keeps himself locked in, and he finds. I equate Nick Saban to Michael Jordan in this statement right here, in this way. It doesn't take much to get Michael Jordan going. You saw this in the Last Dance documentary. It didn't take much. All you have to do is not shake Michael's hand or not acknowledge him when he was in the room, or he could even make up a story in his mind of you taking shots at him. And that was all he needed to get him going. Yeah, that was it. For Coach Saban, it's the same thing. It doesn't take much to get Coach Saban going. Ask him a crazy question at a press conference. Have him not win a national championship. Have him having to go on a rant in terms of fans. It doesn't take much to get Saban going. And then once he gets going, he takes that energy the next 5 years down the road. That's what he does. Not trying to retire, not interested in retiring. I'm done answering the questions about when do I think the man's going to retire. At this point, I'm just like, hold on to him as much as you possibly can because guy's in great shape. Got sharpness of mind, and he's trying to continue building even more so on the legend and legacy that he already has in Tuscaloosa. So, in the words of Coach Saban, he's not going to tell you when he's going to step down, so quit asking him. He's not going to tell you when it's going to happen. So, as always, Bama Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and material on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. And for your audio listening needs, check us out right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, or iHeartRadio. Got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'd like to be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link found in the description. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link found in the description. If you're also trying to get the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description too. As always, I appreciate my man John Ivor in the production studio doing his thing. You, the outstanding fans of Alabama football, the family, checking us out today. And for all of us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. To all children out there, continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored, you be sure to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man Stephen M. Smith, and as always, you've been listening to In My Own Words.